You might remember a little bit ago, did a search and we saw for a text box the thing called text as opposed to the entry. And I said we'll come back to that, and this is where we will. So let's just as we're tinkering here, let's add in another box. So let's say instead of just a little cheer, we would allow you to do, let's say, a tribute. Um, and it's going to be a text box. So the text box is allows us to have multiple rows and columns, if you will. Instead of just one line of some number of characters, you can have multiple lines of text being input. That's the main difference. It can be one line, but the purpose is to allow multiple lines. So we can put this on wherever we want to. I'm going to put it onto our encourage, encouragement frame, just because it's part of the encouragement package here, if you will. And I can put this wherever I want to inside of it, but I do need to specify the width, and I don't know, let's just make it 40 characters, and the height. How many lines it's going to be? Let's just make it 5 as a size. You can change your size however you want it to be. Um, and so now that we have this, we need to add it in to our grid. So, well, let's say row is equal to 1, column is equal to 0. You don't actually have to specify the column, but I like to. It makes it clear. And column span is equal to 2. So kind of like we did with the button. So let's do that. Okay, interesting thing just happened here. I now have this text box here. I can type into my text box 5 lines. Actually, I can do more lines than that. And it'll actually automatically scroll up and down. It just shows me 5 lines. But notice where our button is. It's in the middle of the text box. It's kind of a cool feature if that's what you wanted. It's kind of not if you wanted something, the button to be in the next row. So I just wanted to show you that little interesting glitch because it, uh, it basically allows us to overlap things, and it can be very confusing. One might hide the other. So it's up to you to remember, like, oh, well, this needs to go in row 2 now that I'm adding something in row 1. So it's important to have a plan for your layout, know where things are going to happen, because you can just mess yourself up and have to go searching your code if it does otherwise. So you can see our text box is here, and then our buttons there. But now notice, if I don't type anything in, I show important announcement of nothing. And that's where, additional code is helpful. So, here again is our text box. Um, and the text box itself has the ability to do multiple lines, as we just said. But we want to make sure that we do something with that data. We just want a text box for the sake of having a text box. So, for example, I can add into the cheer, I could say get plus, let's see, tribute input dot get. Is that going to work? I can take a guess, right? It works for the other one. So let's see. Let's see if that works. Invalid syntax. What did I do? Oops, I probably got a parenthesis. So no problem so far. Test 2. See what happens. Oh, an error. Get missing one positional argument. Index. So the get in tribute works different than the get in cheer because tribute is a text box. Let me actually do something here. So move that down just so I can keep it all on one screen without having to make it bigger. So what actually is going on here is this is not getting all the text for whatever reason. Tickled, Python, whoever wrote this way, they want you to say, well, what part of the text do you want? So I need to say I need all of it or part of it. And so, for example, I can say, and this is the funny thing, the syntax for here is very strange. I do 1.0, the first location to the end. And it's strings I'm putting inside of there as well because end allows me to put inside. It's just weird syntax for me, and I wanted to show it to you just because it's weird syntax, and it's not wrong, maybe a little bit, but it is what it is. It's the way they wrote it. So again, test and test two. Notice there it gives us all of test one and test two. Um, if I just said, for example, 1 to, let's just say we did 4.0 and just run that just to show you how this works. This is where tinkering, playing with it comes along. Test Tony Low. So here, notice it actually got everything. So like I don't necessarily totally understand what's going on, but just to understand, you do need some parameter inside of there to make it work. So what if we just did end, right? And so apparently 4.0 doesn't mean anything. I do test just end. There, it's interesting. It didn't get any of it. So it started with end and it went all the way from there. What if I did 1 here? Let's just play with this. See if we understand this functionality a little bit. An error. Bad index 1. It doesn't like 1, right? Well, what if I did 0.0? So it seems to want a floating point number. See there, it just grabs S, the very first character. So it does kind of need the two of them, right? But 0, 1, they both. Well, let's try 1 here real quick. See what the difference is. It doesn't really matter, right? 0, 1, it's okay with it. So this is one of those things that some clever coder came up with this system that allows a ton of flexibility inside of there. Probably more so than most of us need. Getting all the text and being able to parse it on our own isn't the worst thing in the world. But I want you to understand that sometimes these things come up. Somebody, you know, has a cool idea, they build it, and it kind of sticks around for a while. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of great uses for it, but it's more than what you expected. And sometimes we just tinker until we understand it enough, and then we run from there. And so this is, a good example of that. Now we have a text box on there and the ability to grab the text box, but I want to keep showing you a few other things about Python and the things it does. So let's come back, let you play with this and get your text box working, and let's do something additional with the text box to play with events of text inside the box as people are typing and changing and working with individual text box on their own.